In this tutorial, I want to talk a little about working with a writing partner. This can be challenging, and there isn't really a gold standard here. I've written with several writing partners before, and the workflow is very different with each one. My all-time writing partner is my wife, Heather. Heather is a much more intelligent person than I am, and she thoroughly understands things and people really quick. I'm usually the one that creates the overall stories and characters and ideas. So for our workflow, I'll usually pitch her something, and then we'll talk about it. We'll actually ask each other what-if questions. What if this little girl was a messiah figure and was actually really powerful? What if she didn't even know? And then after kind of batting things around a little bit and we understand things a little better after talking together, I'll usually iron out an overall 3-act structure and a few major story beats. Then we'll talk about it over dinner while running errands with the kids. It's kind of fun, actually. We'll go out on a date and be talking about log lines over dinner. It's great. So once we have the overall blueprint of the story, we'll start writing the script. I'm usually the one that actually does the physical typing, but Heather and I are talking about the phrasing of every sentence while I'm typing. I get super excited and jazzed about things, and I will miss huge problems that Heather will frequently catch. Now, what happens when we don't agree on something that should happen? That actually happens to us all the time. But we have this general rule that each of us represents half of our audience. So if one of us isn't on board, chances are half of our audience won't be on board either. So for us, we work on things and come up with new solutions until we're both absolutely in love with everything that we write. No compromises. And once we get something that we settle on, Heather will usually make some comment that blows my mind because she totally gets it and I don't always. So after we wrote the first version of the script where Tayani struggled with letting Cordelia go, Heather pointed out, kind of just casually, that our story was essentially the biblical story of Christ, except we were focusing on Mother Mary's struggle to give away her child. And then it hit me, well, yeah, of course it is. How could I have missed something so very, very obvious? But Heather sees all things, especially those type of things that I miss. So I feel very exposed writing without her. Now, this is how Heather and I usually work, but this isn't the only way to work with a writing partner. Bry Troyer, who was the second assistant director on The Assurance, and his sometimes writing partner, Ann Hartner, who was an extra on The Assurance, write the overall story together. And then when it comes to the screenplay, they actually take turns writing each scene and then hand it over to the other partner. This is a really common way to work as a writing team. Sometimes it might be a predetermined page count or something, like I'll write 10 pages, then I'll hand it off to you, and you write the next 10, or whatever. Sometimes when writing partners do this, they'll also kind of rewrite and tighten up what their partner just wrote. This is how Ben Garant and Thomas Lennon work. These guys are amazing. They wrote the screenwriting book, Writing Movies for Fun and Profit. They also wrote the Night at the Museum movies. They were the creators and writers of Reno 911 with that movie and everything, and much more. So it's worked for them. For a lot of people, they don't have thick enough skin to correct and be corrected by others and not kind of ruffle feathers a little bit. But they have the personal tools to make this happen. Again, there aren't any rules for writing with a partner. It's important that there is a great dynamic between you and your partner. You have to be at once sensitive and thick-skinned and put the material before your egos. Be aware that credit for writing partners is done in a specific way, which we'll look at in the next movie. For me, though, writing with a partner is really satisfying. It's the first collaboration and essentially your first audience. So this is my preferred way to work.